Her story wasn't just about lost love, it was a tale of trust shattered and the haunting question of self-worth. She had been the girl with a radiant smile and a heart full of dreams, but life, as if envious of her happiness, had thrown its cruelest curves at her. Her first love had been a chapter straight out of a fairy tale. They had shared a home, whispered about marriage under the stars, and even laughingly imagined their future children. Their faces digitally merged in a photo that once graced her phone's background. But the fairy tale crumbled one fateful evening when she walked in on him, entwined with her stepsister in the very bed they had shared countless dreams in. The aftermath was a blur of pain and betrayal, especially when her stepsister's pregnancy became the unwanted epilogue to their story. His regretful eyes and apologies did nothing to mend the chasm in her heart. The betrayal was not just his, but also hers, the stepsister who had been her confidant, her partner in crime through childhood. Just when the wounds started to scab over, life seemed to offer a balm in the form of a new relationship. He wasn't just another guy, he was a glimmer of hope, a possibility of what could be. She had been cautious, her past spilling out in their conversations, her fears laid bare. Yet she allowed herself to dream again, but as the new year dawned, so did her nightmares. A text, cold and abrupt, severed their ties. He had moved on and found someone new at a party, leaving her with nothing but a digital ghost of what could have been. The chasm between her and her family seemed to widen with each passing day. Conversations with her stepsister turned into a ballet of awkward silences and unspoken words. Her family, once her sanctuary, now felt like a court of judgment, eyes glancing her way with a mix of pity and discomfort. The forthcoming arrival of her stepsister's child, a constant reminder of the life she could have had, the family she could have built. Her friends, once a tapestry of support, now seemed distant. Whispers and looks of pity followed her in social gatherings. She felt like an outsider in her own circle, the subject of hushed conversations and sympathetic glances. Her heartache had somehow turned her into a spectacle, a tragic figure in the eyes of those she once laughed with. As the days melded into each other, a subtle shift began within her. It started small, a flicker of determination amidst the sea of despair, a whisper of defiance against the chorus of self-doubt. She began to realize that her worth wasn't defined by the failures of others to see her value. Her reflection in the mirror started to change, not in appearance, but in perception. The eyes that once carried the burden of betrayal now glimmered with the light of self-compassion. In a moment of quiet introspection, she stumbled upon an old box of her mother's belongings. Sifting through the memories, she found a letter her mother had written to her, never sent, filled with words of love and encouragement. It was a balm to her wounded soul, a bridge connecting her to the woman whose life had been a beacon of strength and love. Her mother's words echoed in her heart, reminding her that she was more than her heartbreak, more than the sum of her past. She started to reconnect with the world, but on her own terms. She reached out to a few friends, the ones who had remained steadfast, and found solace in their acceptance. She began to indulge in the small pleasures of life, a walk in the park, the simple joy of a good book, the therapeutic act of writing down her thoughts. As her stepsister's due date approached, she made a choice. Instead of harboring resentment, she chose to embrace forgiveness, not for them, but for herself. It was a difficult path, strewn with the remnants of her shattered trust, but it was a path that led to peace. The journey to healing is often silent, invisible to the world, yet monumental to the one walking its path. For her, this journey culminated one evening as she stood by the lake, the water mirroring the twilight sky. In her hands, she held the letter from her mother, now creased and worn from frequent reading. It was here in this serene solitude that she made her peace. Whispering words of gratitude, she let the letter sail on the lake's surface, a symbolic release of her past, a farewell to the pain that had long anchored her heart. As the paper absorbed the water, bloating and sinking, she felt a weight lift within her. It was not a dramatic transformation, but a quiet acknowledgement of her newfound strength and self-love. Days later, she found herself face-to-face with her stepsister, the air thick with unspoken words. There, amidst the tension and the memories of betrayal, she found the courage to speak, not words of anger, but of closure. She spoke of her pain, her disappointment, but also of her decision to move forward. It wasn't forgiveness in its purest form, but an acceptance of what had happened, an understanding that clinging to resentment would only hinder her journey. She left that conversation lighter, unburdened by the chains of bitterness. Her past with her first love and the betrayal would always be a part of her story, but they would no longer define her. In the days that followed, she began to rebuild, not just her life, but herself. She rekindled her passions, found joy in new hobbies, and allowed herself to dream again. She learned to laugh more freely, to engage in conversations with a spark that had long been missing. Her wardrobe slowly bloomed back to color, each outfit a celebration of her renewed spirit. Her heart was still cautious, tender from its scars, but it was open to the possibility of love, of trust, of a future unmarred by the echoes of her past betrayals. She understood now that her worth was not tethered to the affections of others, but rooted in her self-acceptance. As she walked forward, she carried with her the legacy of her mother, a legacy of strength, resilience, and an undying capacity for love. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving, a testament to the enduring power of the human heart to heal and to love again. And in her darkest moments, she would remind herself of the journey she had traversed, a journey from betrayal to healing, a testament to the unyielding spirit within her.